It's true, Caleb Williams wants to die. He's been wandering out to forests, hoping hunters mistake him for an actual bear and shoot him. It's not going well in Chicago. The Vikings handled the Bears on Monday Night Football. Nobody watched the Falcons-Raiders game on Monday Night Football. The Lions have everyone on IR, including past players like Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson appear to be unstoppable. Philly wins the Battle of Pennsylvania.
So that's what y'all want to see, huh?
Patty Mahomes avoids serious injury, and God help whatever is happening to the Titans. Today, I will reveal the real winners and losers from NFL Week 15, but first, the Block 10 plays. 10 plays so hard to watch, you'll need to dress like a Giants fan just to get through it. Block 10? Xavier Legette is still eating raccoons.
What's your hottest food take?
I eat raccoon.
And I still think Tom Brady had a weirder diet than Legette.
You what?
Like a raccoon that you see in the trash can.
Blop 9, Drake May being forced to live with a pick on his stat sheet because of this play.
Booty fumbles it into the air.
Sounds like a good time.
Booty into the air.
And this block punt from Monday Night Football. Gotta insert this. When I say the word blop, this is exactly what I see in my head when my eyes look backwards into my imagination. Blop 8? Oh no, I'm sorry, Greg Stroman. It was Lamar Jackson trying to keep his pants up while juking defenders during a 20-yard rush. Lamar was clearly a little annoyed that we haven't talked about his butt for a few years. That's the joke I wrote during the game when that happened. Here's Lamar after the game.
Look, they was asking me that, so I'm like, I felt like wind was touching my butt, so I was trying to keep my tights up for real.
I was right. I did not expect that answer to be so funny. I love that man, and you know what? Screw it. Give him the MVP.
So I was like just trying to keep my pants up, but that's all it was.
Blop 7, these filthy announcers.
Gets his hand in between before he wraps it up and just jerks on it and pulls it out.
Blop 6, Saints quarterback Jake Haener getting an affectionate head scratch from head coach Darren Rizzi. Darren Rizzi must really love Jake Haener. Remember when he screamed at his rookie punter last week for a play that didn't matter? I think that's proof these Jake Haener photos can seduce even the hardest of men. Blop 5, I think I have a coffee that Mike Tomlin would love.
The down counts. It's second down.
I don't even think Antonio Brown ever annoyed Mike Tomlin that much. Blop 4, 300-pound Jeremiah Ledbetter almost nailed a backflip after sacking Aaron Rodgers in the Jets-Jags game on Sunday. And in other news, an earthquake registering 7.6 on the Richter scale has devastated northern Florida. Blop 3, I'm not saying James Cook needs his hair pulled in order to finish, but he did in this game. I refuse to kink shame James Cook, who now has 13 rushing touchdowns on the season, 14 total. And the real blop is us football talkers not giving Cook enough credit. He's been great this year, and I apologize for that, James. Over 1,000 scrimmage yards to go with those 14 TDs. Blop 2, he's back. Will Levis was benched while his ex-girlfriend was at the game watching. Oh no! Oh, that's tough. That's tough. I'm sorry, Will. The average guy equivalent of this is like if your ex was watching you not give your current girlfriend an orgasm. Everyone in the room knows you're not getting the job done. You know what you're doing wrong, too, but you can't fix it. Blop 1, Jordan Battle, proving the greatest battle is the ones we fight with ourselves as he blops the touchdown out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. Losing the ball at the goal line was an epidemic this week in the NFL. And I'm gonna cut Battle a little bit of slack because that was literally the second time he's carried the ball in the NFL. Blop 0 though, only Jonathan Taylor topped Jordan Battle this week by also fumbling on the goal line. Now I recapped the entire Broncos-Colts game here, but this play changed the game. That was the last good play the Colts offense had all day, but I'm giving my losing play call to Shane Steichen, who in a move of desperation dialed up this trick play that essentially sent the Colts to the glue factory. And they usually don't send baby horses to the fucking glue factory.
Shane came over, talked to me, and said if it's not there, throw it away. So if you kind of look from my perspective, it was there pretty much until 15 to turn to Ed Reed and just came through out of nowhere.
Losing ball security Sunday, week 15. That's right, the entire day. The entire day. There were 51 turnovers on Sunday, which is the most we've seen since 2016. But one game stood out above all the rest. Bengals Titans. I mean, Joe Burrow threw the first of his 2 interceptions on the opening drive, and even though there were 10 turnovers and 25 combined penalties in this near meaningless game, it also had some pretty cool shit. Winning cool shit? Tajay Spears crowd surfed his way over the Bengals for a touchdown. That's cool shit. Defensive edger Sam Hubbard scored a touchdown. Cool shit. Tennessee may have finally found the one man who can replace Derrick Henry, defensive tackle Tavondre Sweat, who thick arms the hell out of Alex Kappa after the Joe Burrow fumble. Cool shit. Joe Burrow also dropped our FDR of the week as Burrow takes a hit, throwing to T. Higgins, who split 2 defenders. Cool shit. Cincy gets a much needed win, and thanks to the losses by the Dolphins and Colts, now have a very impressive 6% chance to make the playoffs. Cool shit. Losing game? That would be Thursday Night Football. I wish we could select which brain cells to kill when we drink, because the Rams and 49ers game on Thursday is one I'd selectively try and purge from my memory. This game was so boring, 49ers linebacker Devondre Campbell quit. He quit on his team and refused to go into the game, and I don't blame him. There was just 302 combined passing yards and no touchdowns out of Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford. But we can probably chalk that up to Mother Nature rearing its ugly head in Santa Clara. Kyron Williams broke 100 rushing yards, but watching a running back break 100, averaging 3.7 per carry, is like watching a ceiling fan spin for 3 hours, and then trying to pretend to be excited when it hits 10,000 spins. Losing receiver Cooper Kupp in one of the biggest fantasy weeks of the season had 0 catches for 0 yards, leaving many of us with 0 chances to win our leagues. Cooper. Thank you guys, we just hit 674,000 subs, trying to get to 700 by the end of the season. Also, bam, this episode's sponsored by Underdog. We're 900 signups away from 5,000. And again, if we hit 5,000 signups at Underdog, the best place to play daily fantasy or to play in pick'em games where you guess stat totals, I will rock the monkey tail beard for all of the playoffs through the Super Bowl, whatever it takes to get 900 by the end of December. And right now, Underdog will match your first deposit up to $1,000. And if you've used my code or link below and signed up to play Underdog, you will get access to my Broncos Chargers picks for Thursday Night Football. Only available if you've used my code. It'll be one of these 2 picks. I sent them over, but they should be in there soon. Winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think it's Jaden Daniels. The Saints made Bo Nix look like a rock star, and they gave Jaden Daniels the same treatment on Sunday. Daniels had 226 passing yards, both of his TDs to Terry McLaurin, one coming off a crazy scramble where Jaden almost ate it. Daniels also earns my only Mahomes scramble of the weekend with this sack escape and 1-yard run. If we're gonna glaze a dude for a 1-yard run, it's Mahomes Daniels. This was also the Fuck the Refs game of the week, brought to you by my Fuck the Refs coffee, available at benchwarmershop.com. After Spencer Rattler was inserted into the lineup, Nola nearly got the win because on this 4th and 3 conversion that was stopped at the 1-yard line, the officials stopped the game clock at 9 seconds for no reason. The Saints did not have a timeout, and because of that mishandling of the clock, Rattler fired a touchdown to Foster Moreau and were a 2-point conversion away from winning. Luckily, the Commanders' defense held, but stopping the clock? I can't even imagine what Mike Tomlin would have done to the officials if that happened to the Steelers.
Cut your eyelids off.
Winning return from injury, the Packers. They got Romeo Doubs and Edrin Cooper back from injuries. Both made an immediate impact early in this game. Cooper with a 3rd down sack on the Seahawks' first drive. Doubs followed that by powering into the end zone to get the Packers off to a 14-0 lead. And then they both came up clutch again. Cooper picked off the Halaban in the 4th, and Doubs snagged his 2nd touchdown of the game. Other than smoking a cigarette, making a catch with this level of difficulty is the only way to make a Guardian cap look cool.
I just caught the ball.
However, Cooper's most impactful play may have been the one that took Geno out of the game. Congrats to the Packers for getting their first win in Seattle since 2008, back when Russell Wilson was a better baseball prospect than a NFL prospect. Condolences to Carrington Valentine for popping the NFL interception cherry to prevent a touchdown. I say condolences because it's called My Bloody Valentine for a reason. Winning quarterback, damn right, it's Josh Allen, who essentially sealed the MVP with his performance against the Lions, throwing 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and taking 0 sacks against the Lions in their 48-42 victory. Detroit lost just their 2nd game of the year. The passing stats are always only half the story for Josh Allen, who also added 68 yards and 2 more touchdowns on the ground. What won't show up on the stat sheet was a basketball pass into the end zone that would have been the 5th total touchdown for Allen, but was negated due to a hold. And is my only Mahomes throw of the week. Allen is going to run away with the MVP this year with -900 odds to win the award for the first time in his career. He's up to 25 touchdowns on the season, 11 rushing touchdowns. He's only been intercepted 5 times, and the Bills have needed all of that recently because the Buffalo defense has surrendered 86 points combined in the last 2 games, and unlike the Lions, they don't have injuries for excuses. The Joe Burrow Award's going to the opposing quarterback, Jared Goff, who won a game earlier this year throwing 5 interceptions. We got the opposite of that against the Bills because Goff tossed 5 TDs and still fell to Buffalo in that 90-point fuckfest at Ford Field. Amon Ra walked away with 193 receiving yards and a TD. Sam Laporta also went over 100. Goff threw the ball 59 times in this game, nearly becoming the 2nd quarterback this year to throw for 500 yards, and had a rare game where his stellar running backs only combined for 35 yards on 13 carries. Goff was spreading the ball out, throwing each of his 5 tutties to a different receiver, one of them being swing tackle Dan Skipper, who got into the end zone nearly a year after he was ruled ineligible in that infamous game against the Cowboys last season. Goff became the first quarterback to throw 5 touchdowns, 0 picks, and for over 400 yards, but still lose a ball game. And that's not the worst part. Losing injuries, the Lions. During the orgy of touchdowns that was this game, Detroit lost defensive tackle Alim McNeil to a torn ACL, Carlton Davis broke his jaw, Khalil Dorsey fractured his leg, and David Montgomery tore his MCL. 4 season-ending injuries in 1 game. That feels like a horrible record that I've never seen happen. We've seen plenty of teams suffer 4 injuries in a single game, but 4 season-ending injuries in 1 game? That just seems cruel. This was a team that already had 13 defenders on IR, with a lot of them being starters. The trauma of all these injuries is probably what prompted Dan Campbell to run that onside kick that backfired down 10 early in the 4th quarter. I think the curse of Bobby Lane might be stronger than ever, and I hate to say that to Lions fans. Teasing Lions fans with the greatest Lions team they have ever seen, only to injure more key players than any other team in the league by a massive margin, is one of the more fucked up scenarios I've ever watched play out. If Goff and Campbell can win a Super Bowl with this squad, it will be the most impressive thing we have ever seen in the NFL. Losing quarterbacks? There was so much bad QB play this week. I had to lump all these losers together. Jameis Winston, Jake Haener, and Will Levis all got benched. Tommy DeVito was injured, so we got Tim Boyle, Geno Smith injured, opening the door for a very bad Sam Howell performance. Anthony Richardson wasn't benched, but maybe he should have been. And damn it, Tua turned the ball over. Bryce Young had been on a tear recently, but against the Cowboys, he threw 2 picks and was sacked 6 times for 44 yards while being thoroughly outdueled by backup Cooper Rush. Even Jameis Winston will throw a pick that's not his fault every now and then. The only thing weirder than Jameis may be this pick by Nick Bolton. Winston had a passer rating of 40 and 3 picks when Stefanski sat his ass down for DTR, who also threw a pick and finished with a passer rating of 12. Tua netted 4 turnovers. Speaking of nets, I've seen actual dolphins trapped in fishing nets have better days than Tua. Will Levis had back-to-back picks and was benched after a pick 6 that the Bengals didn't fumble at the goal line. Levis only had 4 incompletions, but 3 of them were those interceptions. Jake Haener got the start over Spencer Rattler for some reason, probably because he was willing to unclog Darren Rizzi's toilet while Rizzi watched in arousal. Haener, 1 pick, 3 sacks, 49 passing yards on 10 attempts, and a rating of 16.3. The Saints had 38 yards of offense in the first half, fewest for them in a half since 2002, and finally Sam Howell made Seahawks fans want to howl in pain after he came in for Geno and completed just 5 passes on 14 tries with 1 pick and 4 sacks. 4 sacks on 14 dropbacks? That's impressive, even for Sam Howell, who was the most sacked quarterback in 2023. Sam Howell netted just 3 passing yards after those sacks. Winning game manager? Patty Mahomes. Now, this was not an impressive outing for Patrick Mahomes, who had to exit the game early with his annual holiday season ankle injury. Mahomes only completed half of his 38 passing attempts for 159 yards against the Browns, but he did throw a pair of TDs, didn't turn the ball over, and didn't get sacked in the 21-7 victory that pushed Kansas City to 13-1. Mahomes did not break his ankle, but Andy Reid did say that his quarterback suffered a high ankle sprain, which I think might be the 45th of his career at this point. We got to see 2 Carson Wentz passes. He nailed both of his throws for 20 yards, and it does seem like the Chiefs would be wise to give Wentz a start on Saturday, considering they'll have to play 4 days later on Wednesday for their Christmas game. Jerry Jeudy recorded his first 1,000-yard season, but he's got to play for the Browns, so... Did a white corner get an interception? We track it every week? No, but Cooper DeJean fumbled a punt return. Looks like Cooper DeJean's been consuming just a little too much of those exciting whites. Winning wide receiver, well, that's going to Davante Adams. He had 0 receptions for 0 yards in the first half of this dumb game, and he finished just shy at 200 on the day. By the end of the game, he had 9 grabs for 198 yards and a pair of TDs. Numbers 100 and 101 for his career in touchdowns. One of them, a 71-yard dot from Rodgers, where he raced past the entire Jags secondary, which was the longest touchdown of Adams' career. It feels like Adams and Rodgers have finally settled in with New York in their 8th game together. Unfortunately, they waited until they were 3-10 to do it. Or maybe it was just that they were playing the Jaguars. For a guy...
I don't watch porn.
You did a pretty good job jagging off, Aaron. Losing celebration? McCorkle Jones, who does a great spin move as he gets out of the pocket and then celebrates. I'm glad the NFL clarified that this is the Rizzler celebration, because I was going to celebrate Mac Jones for showing the courage to come out of the closet during a football game. Winning running back James Conner, who has been one of the more unsung heroes at the position this season, and he added 110 yards and 2 touchdowns on just 16 carries against the Patriots in Arizona's 30-17 victory that they desperately needed to stay in the playoff race for the NFC West. At age 29, James Conner is closing in on back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for the Cardinals, who have already extended him in the desert. Arizona had Greg Dortch carry the rock 1 time, and he fumbled the ball into the end zone as well. We almost had a hat trick of goal line fumbles lost. Dortch better send big man Jonah Williams a nice Christmas present for his recovery of the ball and the touchdown in the back of the end zone. Jonah now has more touchdowns than Trey McBride on the season. And for the first time ever, I'm also giving Drake May the only Mahomes award. That's right, it's going to two people this week. Sure, the Patriots got the patriotism kicked right out of them, but this scramble and toss by Drake May looks more like Mahomes than Dylan Raiola. Whatever happened to that guy? Winning defender? After getting beat in the end zone for a touchdown by Geno Smith earlier in the game, Texans corner Derek Stingley Jr. had 2 interceptions, including snagging this game winner out of the air, matched up one-on-one with Tyreek Hill. Stingley has long been one of the best corners in the league, and his second pick combined with the Colts loss cemented the AFC South for the Texans for the second straight season. My unanimous decision? Everyone wants to see Mike Evans get 1,000 yards. Mike played like vintage Evans against the number 1 or former number 1 defense in the NFL. The Chargers have been swallowing up offenses all year like deep throat, but the Buccaneers had a 40-point outburst in LA sparked by a season-high 159 yards and 2 touchdowns from Evans. It seemed like after his injury, Evans' 1,000-yard streak would come to an end, but he's now at 759 yards with 3 games to play, and if he can average 84 yards per game the rest of the way, he'll notch 1,000 for the 11th straight season. Winning stat? Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff have the most passing touchdowns in the last 2 years. What the hell? I love that. The Chargers became my losing defense for the week. They hadn't allowed more than 30 points all year, but they gave up 40 to the Buccaneers, completely folding against Tampa, who threw for 288 yards and rushed for another 223. The Chargers were previously the best scoring D in the league, but now they've been caught by my Denver Broncos, as both teams are allowing just 17.6 points per game. So you know what that means. The Broncos-Chargers game on Thursday Night Football will be the first ever game to end in a 17.6 to 17.6 tie. Winning throwback, the Cowboys, going to their 90s roots and messing around with Coke. My coked out play of the week goes to Jalen Coker, who went 83 yards for the score. As you can see from Next Gen Stats, that's the longest line of Coke the NFL has seen since the Cowboys' Super Bowl runs. Winning team, the Philly Eagles, who have now won 10 games in a row and are zeroing in on the top spot in the race for a bye in the NFC playoffs. The Eagles handled their Pennsylvania neighbors 27-13 and did it all with just 61 yards from their elite running back Saquon Barkley, who was out for part of the game with an injury. It didn't matter though, because Jalen Hurts with a broken finger was averaging 9 yards per attempt, hitting on 25 of his 32 passes and accounting for 3 total touchdowns. Philly gets the most boring award on earth, winning time of possession. The Eagles were so good at controlling the ball late in the game that the Steelers only had 2 drives in the second half. Philly held onto the ball for nearly 40 total minutes against Pittsburgh and closed out the game with a 10-minute, 29-second drive that would have put even Michael Jackson to sleep. Safely, too, may I add. If the Eagles beat the Commanders next week, they'll clinch the NFC East, and now they're in a dogfight with the Vikings and Lions to claim that top spot in the conference. Losing team, which is, according to plan, the Giants. Lamar Jackson just lit up the Giants. He threw 5 touchdowns. He had more touchdowns than incompletions, which he's now done 3 times while throwing 5 touchdowns in his career. Lamar had the highest passer rating of the week, but I'm not giving him the best quarterback award because, the level of difficulty he had to play on this week was essentially the tutorial level where the video game gives you the no-stakes missions or situations so they can teach you the buttons. The Ravens have more red zone TDs than the Giants have had red zone trips this season, just to give you an idea of how lopsided this was. Dan Jones last played for the Giants on November 10th. This is Tim Boyle throwing their first passing touchdown since then. Winning sequel, Giants fans, paying for another flyover banner. And just like The Godfather, I think the second one is even better. Let's see if they don't stop until the Giants do fire everyone. Even the equipment managers though, guys, because that seems excessive. And finally, the NFL double doinked us with 2 Monday night games. Caleb Williams did his best, but looked like a man caught in a bear trap by the end of this game. I've seen actual bears caught in traps have a better time than Caleb Williams has had playing football this season. And I guess I'd be writhing in pain if my offense couldn't convert a 4th and 1 twice. The Vikings controlled this game from start to finish, and Jonathan put his green nards back where they belong, in their sack after he stripped down Caleb Williams. The Vikings debuted their new all-white unis, which match the whitest and deepest quarterback room in the NFL. The whitest kids you know play for the Vikings. I'm not sure what's more impressive, just how white they are, how white sounding their names are, or how many of them there are. Regardless, Sam Darnold is my winner of the offseason because this motherfucker is gonna get paid. 231 yards, a touchdown, and a pick in this game, and the reason he had a pick instead of another TD is because Justin Jefferson dropped the easiest touchdown of his life. And I know Bears fans are down bad right now, I get it. This is what we all thought Chicago and their offense might look like this season.
Hey, outside the bounds.
Instead, this is actually what it looks like. Sure, Caleb also has the vision of 2022 Russell Wilson, but a new head coach, the right coach that you probably won't hire, could get the best out of Caleb Williams. After all, he hasn't thrown a pick in 8 straight games. Drake May throws one every week, and Pats fans fucking love that guy. The bench shitters? Well, that's going to the NFL for scheduling 2 Monday night games in December, and the second being between the Raiders and the Falcons. A game so boring, shitting in my bed sounded like more fun. I'm pretty sure Antonio Pierce is on the hot seat. His ass might be already blistering. The Raiders nearly shat the bed by winning this game, but got bailed out by the refs for calling this roughing the passer.
Come on. I don't know about that.
Losing $100 million? The Falcons. Despite winning, Kirk Cousins just looks broken. He tossed his first touchdown since November 3rd, but only put up 112 yards against a Raiders defense missing Max Crosby. Atlanta got a safety, blocked a punt, and somehow is just a game behind the Bucs in the NFC South.
Wind was touching my butt.
Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Underdog. The QR code's on the screen right now. Link in the description. We're 900 signups away from 5,000.